Alright, I know I'm probably the last person to review this game, but just like Cyberpunk, I delayed this until the very end. So fuck it, let's get it over with. So Cyberpunk 2077 came out in 2020 Alright, let's start this over. So Cyberpunk 2077 came out in 2020 and...
You calling for some wheels? I'm Johnny on the spot. It's coming at you.
Yes, we'll check it.
So yeah, this was definitely the most talked about game in 2020, but not for the right reasons. Though I feel like this is one of those games where the glitches are being more talked about than the game itself, and I feel like every review has done that so far, which is very understandable. But for me, I'm just gonna focus on the game itself, because one, everyone at this point already knows that this game is infested with glitches, and two, I didn't really get many glitches compared to most people, probably because I had the PC version. Though that being said, there is this one glitch that I got that I'll talk about later in the video. So basically, I want to shit on this game for everything but the glitches, though it does say something about your game when Sony themselves chooses to take it down from the PlayStation Store. That is not a good look for CD Projekt Red. So in this game, you play as V, and as V, you can start your life as a nomad, a street kid, or corporate. But none of that matters, because besides the opening of each life path, everything else is exactly the same. You have your tutorial, you do your heist with Jackie, shit goes down, Keanu Reeves is now in your head, welcome to Cyberpunk. And this was the first red flag in Cyberpunk right off the gate, because besides certain conversations in the game, none of the life paths really mattered at all, which already gave me a sour taste in the game, because I thought the life paths would have such a bigger influence in the game. Like if there were certain endings you can only get if you took a certain life path, or certain missions you can only play if you took a certain path. See, this is the problem when it comes to hyping up a game, because you start to have all these expectations whether you want to have them or not. I never let hype influence my decisions. I always let my own experience influence that. I have had people recommend me games that they love, but I didn't. And I have had people recommend me games that they hated, but I enjoy. So it always comes down to the player's experience. Though that being said, when you are a fan of a video game company that has hit a home run in the past, you start to expect certain things from them at that point. And if they don't deliver, it is very disappointing. I was like that for a certain video game company not too long ago. Though with all that being said, this game looks freaking beautiful. When Cyberpunk wants to look good, it truly does look good. But just because it looks good doesn't mean it feels good. And this is where we get to the gameplay. I'll start off with my least favorite part about the gameplay: the hacking system. I have played many video games that have had a scanning system at this point, and this one is probably the worst. I don't think I ever really used it unless I was forced to. The only good use I ever got from it was distracting enemies when I was being stealthy. But whenever it came to looking for something or someone, it always seemed tedious. It's not terrible by any means, but in comparison to the scanning system in other games, including the game they made that actually did it well, I never enjoyed using it. Also, brain dances. I fucking hate them. They don't pop up that many times, but when they do, it always slows down my enjoyment for the game. The only enjoyable one was the one with Atom Smasher, just for this line alone.
You look like a cut of fuckable meat, are you?
And I want to bring this up now because it's more of a nitpick than an actual gripe, but I feel like there should have been a third-person mode. I feel like locking this game in the only first person lessened the experience for me instead of immersing me. And the thing is, this could have worked in any other type of game, but not an open world game where you can create your own character. There are only 3 places in the game where you can actually see your character: in the pause menu, in the mirror, and on a motorcycle. And every single time I am on that motorcycle, I just ask myself, why did they not make a third-person mode? If you are going to make me create my own character, then I want to see my goddamn character. Do you know how less enjoyable Skyrim would have been if I couldn't see my character? That is why I'm so glad they give you that option. I mean, hell, Witcher 3 was in third-person mode, and I was 100 times more immersed in that game in comparison to Cyberpunk. Though to be fair, even if that problem was gone, there was so much shit in this game that I have seen done way better in other games, even done in first-person mode, and it's kinda sad. I would say the shooting was good, but I've seen it done better in Call of Duty, and that says a lot. I would say the platforming was good, but I've seen it done better in Mirror's Edge. And yeah, the graphics look great, but if I just wanted good graphics, I could just play Detroit Becomes Human, a game that came out a year before this game that's also in a cybernetic universe. And everything else in this game could have been good as well, but then I always remember that this is the same company that worked on The Witcher 3. And that is when I go on the Angry Dome, considering how half-assed this game feels in comparison. And maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe it's unfair of me to nitpick a game that has so much shit in it, because it is a big game, right? But that is exactly why I am nitpicking in the first place. They knew how much shit was in this game, and yet they still launched this title knowing the state this game was in. Because there is no way someone working at CD Projekt Red tested this game and not see these fucking bugs. And if they didn't test it, then that's even worse. They knew people were gonna buy this game regardless. They made The Witcher 3, of course we're gonna buy this game. Hell, I pre-ordered the game, I had that much faith in them, and I don't pre-order shit. And this is coming from a guy that loves the cyberpunk genre, and I was so curious to see the world that CD Projekt Red would build for this game. And what we got was a cybernetic world filled with sex, drugs, and violence. All I wanted was an immersive cybernetic world, not Cyberpunk GTA with shittier driving mechanics. And why in the flying duck fuck do people keep randomly calling me every single second of the game? The fuck? What?
I'll have two number 9s.
I am busy, Big Smoke.
Number 9 large. Number 6 with extra dip.
I am not a fucking Burger King, Big Smoke. I am busy right. I am going to die,
45.
Big Smoke. But even if the gameplay isn't that enjoyable, at least you can kind of tolerate it with the kick-ass music in the background, right? Maybe it's just my personal preference, but for me, the music wasn't that memorable. I couldn't think of one track that really stood out for me in the game. Though it also really didn't help that there were multiple glitches that the music suffered in this game. When it comes to the music in this game, it either never turns on. I literally went to a dance club one time and there was no music at all. It was the most awkward party I've ever been at. Or it never turns off. I've literally been in combat and I killed everyone and their mother and the music is still blasting in my ear. There were so many emotional scenes ruined because someone was playing a dubstep in high volume. Like, how the hell am I supposed to get invested? I can't hear anything. This happens so many times. But I don't think anything beats the absolute pain I felt when I got to the end of the game and got the worst glitch imaginable. And don't you worry, I will not spoil anything. So apparently I got one of the hardest endings to get in the game, and I had no fucking idea. But it was not only one of the hardest endings to get in the game, it also had the hardest mission in the game. But eventually after 10, 20, 50 deaths, I finally ended up completing it, thank God. And after I finished the mission, there's an end credit scene where I still have to play, which is fine, cool. But as I am talking to someone during this end credit scene, the game starts to glitch up all of a sudden. And people not only start to talk over my lines, but they start to talk over their own lines. Like before they even finish their first line, they're already saying their second line. But that wasn't the worst part. No, the worst part is when I get in the car and the guy in the car with me starts standing in the car, T-posing. And then the game crashes. And I want you to guess where the game saved at. Go on, I'll wait. Are you done? Alright, so the game saved right at the start of the hardest mission in the game. I really wanted to love this game, but I could tell I forced myself to play this game by the end. And it also didn't help that I bought this other game around the same time. It was this game on the Nintendo Switch called Astro Chain. It's a hack and slash that takes place in a cybernetic universe, and it's really good. Which did not help Cyberpunk's case, because as I was playing Cyberpunk, all I was thinking was, yeah, let me finish this game so I could play more Astro Chain, which is the worst feeling you want to have for a game. When your only reason to play a game is to finish it, that automatically takes the fun out of it. I didn't want to feel that way towards Cyberpunk. Hell, I tried not to feel that way towards Cyberpunk, because I had faith in CD Projekt Red. Man, 2020 was disappointing. Not even just because of the stuff that happened in real life, but because both of my favorite video game companies of all time gave us a game in 2020, and they were both meh. I didn't want meh. If this was any other company, then I probably wouldn't give a shit. But both of these companies were able to give us platinum games in the past. No, not the company Platinum Games, though they did make Astral Chain. I'm talking about 10 out of 10 platinum games for me. Games that defined a generation and showed the world that games can be more than just mindless violence and button smashing. Despite the violence in both games, they can be immersive, they can be impactful, and they can also make you feel empty inside when it's over. And you're just sitting there at the end credits wondering, what am I gonna do with my life now? That is what a great video game is supposed to do. I know it sounds like I hate Cyberpunk 2077, but I actually don't. Hell, I even enjoyed it more than The Last of Us Part 2, but I'll save that Last of Us Part 2 review for another time. There are bits of diamonds in this pile of copper, but some of the best shit can be missed out on because there is so much copper in the world of Cyberpunk. If they just took most of the copper out, they could have condensed this game to make the diamonds stand out more. Jackie, Panem, River, Judy, Victor, and Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand are the reasons I kept playing this game. Any mission that I had with any of those characters, I always enjoyed. And if it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't have been able to finish this game. Though with all that being said, Cyberpunk 2077 was able to give me some great characters, a few great moments, but it really falls short in everything else. And the glitches really didn't help in that department. So with all that said, my final verdict for Cyberpunk 2077 is the bronze seal of approval.